It's a pleasure to be here tonight in presenting this first part of a 3-part seminar that we're going to be discussing regarding death education, which includes the process of dying physically and also the reality of immortality. So I will be talking from the perspective that we are immortal beings, that we won't, spiritually, we will not die, we will continue living, and that we have been in this journey of evolution from time immemorial, incarnating, disincarnating, going back to the spiritual world, which is all around us, coming back to earth, and continue our living eternally, forever, just changing modes of living. For instance, now we are always alive, by the way. We are always alive. We are always immortal. And in this aliveness that we are today, we are physically alive using a physical body as an instrument for us to interact with physical things. And when this body dies, through whatever process we're going to see here shortly, then we will continue living without the physical body, but with another body, with spiritual body. In Spiritism, we call it perispirit. But we're going to be alive, conscious, as we are now. And the knowledge that we will have after leaving the physical body is going to be the knowledge that we have now, plus knowledge that we have acquired throughout our evolution, through time immemorial, that are now hidden in our subconscious mind, because we have a lot of knowledge within us. But all the knowledge that we have is not present in the incarnation that we are. For instance, the knowledge that we have now, or the knowledge that we can access in our subconscious mind, is just what we need to live in this experience that we are having now. So we're going to be talking about death education, educating ourselves for this reality of physically dying, or dying physically. So it's a reality that we all face. But as I said before, I'm going to be talking from the perspective that it is only the body that dies, not us as spirits. As spirits, we are immortal. We will not die. We just experience different modes of living. Sometimes physically, as we are now, other times non-physically or without the physical body, after the physical body dies. So this is what, because when you hear it, how am I educate myself to die? Because death, just the name, the sound is kind of scary. Why should I know about, educate myself about death? It is important, in my opinion, that we educate ourselves to this reality that is going to befall every one of us. So we are immortal beings. Us as a spirit, we never die. But the physical body that we use every time that we come to Earth or to other planets that also has some physicality in it is going to perish one day. It's going to die, obviously. So, but that once we understand that the death that we're talking about, that we're going to be talking about this next 3 lectures, is of something outside us. It's the body that we are using, not us as a spirit. And that is important to know that we are immortal beings, because that gives us not only more knowledge about our reality of that we are immortal beings, but it can change our perspective of life. Because there are things, for instance, that we think that is important. When we realize that we are immortal beings, it might not be as that important. We change perspective. Because once we understand that, we imagine this, that we are always alive, always living, it gives us a much greater perspective about everything, including of the greatness that we are. For you to imagine yourself. And that is something that is very powerful. We don't remember other lives, but we have had many lifetimes in many different periods of humanity since its evolution through times, through different eras, prehistory, the Ice Age, medieval times, when civilization was starting, or we were starting the civilization that we have now, that we've participated in this history of humanity actively, if not only in this planet, maybe in other planets. So that makes us, wow, we are something else. We are very powerful beings, and we are always improving, which is even better. Because if we are satisfied what we are now, we shouldn't, because we should not be satisfied the way we are. We would be always striving to be better, to get better. Then it gives us, I'm not going to say reasons to be proud, but that, I am something or someone special. Now, in death education, I don't know why. Oh, okay. I think I kept the title in Portuguese. That was my bad. So it's death education, it says. It is something important, so important that here in the United States, we have associations or organizations dedicated to that, to educate people, educate us through this reality. Because when we come to this world, from the moment that we are out of our mother's womb, not only us, but all just us, but every new babies that have been born, every time that it comes out in the physical life, the very moment that it takes the first breath and it start breathing and being present in this life, there is only one certainty. It is the certainty that that body, that spirit is using now through that birth, one time or another in its physical journey, the functions of that body are going to cease, are going to end. That is the only certain that we live with. So the time that that spirit using that physical body, the time that's going to remain incarnated is going to depend on the mission or the project that it came here to learn, which could be a long life physically in terms of years. It could be just 1 day or two, or 1 year or two. And then, or through the teenaging, not even going through puberty. The body could die before that. So it's going to depend on the purpose and the project of that spirit in taking that body and coming here to earth to learn whatever lesson it came here to learn. Maybe if it's an early death, and depending also on how the body was sickened or through an accident or something in an early age, that the spirit ended its physical life, could be a lesson not for so much for the spirit, but for his or her family. Because we are a group. When we come together, we incarnate in the family. We have, like we learned that in Spiritism, and also we hear from the spirits themselves. They come together within that certain family with members, family members that were family members in the spirit world, and they come together. They come together to either teach or help each other progress, supporting each other for their common goal, or the common growth, because the idea, the objective that we are here for on this earth is to grow and develop, is to become better than we are. And as I mentioned before, it is morally better, spiritually better, intellectually better. So we are evolving, and evolution has no limits. Even if we stay here millions of years learning in each incarnation, and we learn when we here in the physical world, we'll continue learning when we are in the spirit world. It never ceases learning. And the speed that we're going to learn either here or there is going to be the speed that we decide. Some spirits, they want to learn faster, or they have a better capability to learn faster. Others are just going to relax. I'm gonna, this incarnation, I'm going to be born in Salvador, Bahia, and I'm going to take it easy. I had a hard life, my past incarnation in Africa. So this time around, I'm going to relax in Salvador. Share. And there's nothing wrong with it, because there's going to be learning, there's going to be growth. And we could choose that. So it all depends on us. So here in the United States, as I mentioned before, there are organizations. One of them is this ADEC. There you see, first one there. It's Association for Death Education and Counseling. This one here. And they offer education. They have a website. It's ADEC, I think, here, .org. ADEC.org. And they offer several courses, not only death and dying, but in grief and bereavement, all that kind of stuff that's associated with dying, the process of dying. Like when we lose someone, like a loved one, that we might get depressed, we have to go through that process of grief. We're grieving the loss of the person, so we're going to be down, we're going to be suffering. So there are organizations, associations that have help in all that, and that offers that. And one of the courses that they offer, even a certification, is in thanatology. And this thanatology is misspelled. It should be an H here, but I had that in Portuguese, and they noticed that an H was missing. Thanatology, we're gonna see it shortly. Yeah, we're gonna see it shortly. And then there's another one. This is called INELDA. They found an acronym, or they put this. They came out with an acronym like a name. So International End of Life Doula Association. Now, doula in English is midwife. Midwife in Portuguese is parteira. So, but the doula, or in Portuguese, parteira, is someone who helps a woman to deliver babies. So she's there, and they learn and they specialize in it, so they get good at it. Now, the idea of this name doula is that here in the United States, in Brazil, it's growing too now, and also in other countries, is palliative care or end of life care for people who are terminally ill, for people who are diagnosed with a disease that has no cure, that is terminal. So that person is going to this, if it's a cancer or whatever, it's not going to get better. So it's from here to eternity. What is this? So and hospice is more a philosophy that was created in England, actually, by a nun, Cecil Sanders, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And hospice is like, they call it hospice because it was like a place. If we were going to translate into Portuguese, it'd be hospício, and then we associate it with a person, a nut farm where crazy people go, but it's not that case. So it's something like a house of rest or something like that. So hospice is a philosophy, and here in the United States there are many. And this, once, like the doctors determine that that person will not get better, that person will die within like 6 months, for instance. There's nothing that they can do to cure that disease. So they're not gonna cure it, not even attempt to cure it. What they're going to do is they are going to treat that person to make it comfortable. Palliative care, palliate or mitigate or diminish the suffering of that person. And depending on the disease, there's physical suffering, which is pain, some cases terrible pain. And then associated with it, and it's inevitable that that happens, is like emotional pain. Because the person knows, sometimes they don't, we're going to mention that too, that he or she is dying, and don't know anything about that. That person has not seen our seminar, death education. So it's scared, it's afraid, which is normal. So they also try to, the hospice idea, to help with that emotional pain, and sometimes also spiritual pain. The person may be religious but find themselves in that situation, so God goes. Why God has abandoned me? So goes God, goes religion, or why is God doing this to me? So then hospice what they try is it's a multidisciplinary organization that could be a person could be in hospice in their own house. So they contract. I used to be a volunteer for Vita's Hospice, so they contract Vita's Hospice, and the government and health insurance covers that, and the person stay in their house, in their home. So what the hospice does is to bring like a bed, like a hospital bed type, because it's easy, and then nurses and doctor, they come once in a while to medicate and see see the person, how the person is doing, the level of pain, discomfort, and all that. And then there are volunteers, I used to, my job as a volunteer for hospice, I was just a companion, company for that person. So I would go several hours during the week. I would just sit with patients who were dying. I talk to them, to those who could talk, or sometimes you don't talk. You only talk if they want to talk. If you're not, you just stay there, hold their hand if they allow you, or just sit there. It's important to them. Sometimes more important that you stay in silence than talking. Some like to talk, others don't. So and then there's a chaplain. Chaplain is capelão. Chaplain is someone who is um, normally religious, but the hospice thing does not have. It's also interfaith. It's whatever religion. So there's Jewish chaplain, Catholic chaplain, Protestant chaplain, Buddhist chaplain, and normally they're volunteer in hospice. Many the chaplains are paid uh, worker by the hospice. They have a job. Their job is to, and their job is to give this spiritual easiness to that person. So the hospice has this idea to make the person who's dying as comfortable as possible. And then there were people, nurses, that they were there in the deathbed of people who were then dying. And in the very moment, like in the process of dying, because um, when in hospice, like when you go, you know when death is approaching because there are changes in the heart rate, breathing, the way the person breathes. You see that. And sometimes it's just a matter of minutes. And then there's this process that um, it is known, you can see, you can observe. And many times, if someone is there with that person during that moment, normally nurses, in hospice, nurses are there because they know that the person is dying. When I was being trained, I was called during the middle of the night, I think it was 2 a.m., to go to one of the places that Vitas had a hospice bed. I think it was a nursing home or something, that there was a person who was dying. So when I got there, the person had not died yet. It was in the process. It was just a matter of minutes. And she was there surrounded by family members, just waiting. She was an old lady. Uh, the work here finished. It was about to go. So then there's the breathing thing, and then, but the family were there. And then she passed easily, calmly. But sometimes, most of the time, the nurses, they're there. And they already know all that, and they're there comforting that person. Sometimes if the person is lucid, the nurse will talk to them, hold their hand. And so what they, some nurses associated that process because of the phenomenon or phenomena that go on in hospice when people are dying, visions. We're going to talk about this at one point, I think, on the third um, chapter here of our lecture. There are things that happen spiritually or paranormal things that nurses and doctors, they believe that only the body dies because they're event situational. Again, we're going to talk about it. So these nurses, they thought, well, I think we are, because then they be what to them, from that perspective of human, our immortality, they associated the death of the body with the birth of the spirit. So the body dies, the spirit comes out. It's just like the butterfly in the chrysalis, or the cocoon. The cocoon was there like a tomb, where the larva or caterpillar was there one day. And then the cocoon that could symbolize a physical body is dying. And as it dies, then there is a butterfly that comes out. And also that's why butterflies are symbols of immortality. So it's like that. So you have this body, which is a cocoon. Inside this body is the spirit that has animated throughout the entire life, and the cocoon ends its job, and that beautiful butterfly, which is us, immortal spirits, come out to our freedom. So it's a rebirth, death of the body, birth of the spirit. So these nurses, they associated themselves as a doula, parteira de almas. So, and then they organized this association. They train. You can be trained to be a doula, and it is a paid profession. You can make money helping to give birth to spirits. Oh, because I was on duty that night. I was being trained as a chaplain, or to become a chaplain, and we each one had like one day of the week. Normally weekends. I think it was weekends. We are on call. If they needed someone who were dying or something, then they'll call me. That time it was someone who was dying, the process dying. But other times I went several times. They had already died, and the person, like the person died at home, so the body was there in the bed. They would call me to go and talk, because then I was going to offer like a spiritual support to the family members, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. So, and I was there, and it, yeah. It's no, because that no, that was already he was already he was already being supported, and that happens. So all this is part of death education, with something that is already happening in like as an institution. But then for you to find a deck like I did, or for you to find a Nelda, you need to be very interested in this death and dying business. And I am, and I'm going to tell you why I am interested. Now, because I wanted to get myself ready for this reality that is unchanging, that my body is going to die. There's nothing that I can do about it unless I learn. But that came after I started having, and I spoke here about it, the so-called out-of-body experiences. And in this, I have been having this out-of-body experience consciously, lucidly, for 25 years now. And I know that we are immortal. I know because I felt it. I know because I still feel it. I know the entire process of getting out of the body, leaving the physical body, and being out of the physical body, and living independently of the physical body, with all your cognition or your cognitive capacities intact, your reasoning, your thinking, your mind. Know who you are. and no, I experience that. So when I tell you that, that's part of the name, that the reality of immortality, I tell you that we are immortal beings because I know we are, because I experience it. It's not something that I read and I believe. I believed at one point. At one point, actually, I didn't believe in anything. So I only started believing after I started having this experience, out of body experience. It was not only something that happened to me. I had help. I have spirits who helped me. And I was taught, I was guided, I was taught, and I am used uh, uh, to help out in on the other side of life for people who have died. We're gonna mention this later on. But I'm not the only one. Maybe I am one who consciously know that lucidly know that I'm when I'm out of the body, when what doing what I'm doing. But we all do that. With the majority of us, we're not conscious of those experiences. We're not lucid, and and sometimes we just consider them dreams. But many of the dreams that we have are portions of activities that we have done while out of the body. And there's just a little marketing here. My upcoming book, it's called um, Nights on the Other Side. That should be published next year. I don't know if this year, but next. I give details of this, my experiences, and the reason why that I know that we are immortal beings. So that's why I'm saying that when I talk about it, I talk this death education from this perspective that we are immortal beings. And if I were you, I would trust me. I would believe, because I won't be lying to you. So we're going to talk. We're going to have some topics here um, during this next a little bit today, and then another portion, part two, next Thursday, and then the third part is a Wednesday, the 16th, I think, right? So there are several topics. I think 14, if I'm not mistaken, 14 or 15. So the topics that we're going to be talking about, one of them is thanatology, and I wrote it correctly this time with the H. The second is the importance of death education. Third, what is death? The process, what happens. And four, ways to die. There are at least 20. We're going to see it here. Now, should a terminal patient know that he is terminal? Why we fear death? The 5 stages of dying. The 5 stages of dying are mostly they are psychological and emotional stage that we're gonna talk about. Then the final stages, This also, the final stages, for instance, and the 7 stages, are people who are terminally ill. They are about to die. It could be a matter of months. It's something that they are they have an illness that there's no turning back. So they'll die. So they're visible stages. And if any one of you have been close to a family member or a friend who were terminal and died in the process, and you were present during some of that time, you will see and you will recognize those stages when we get to it. And then the 5 tasks of dying. So there's something that happens. There are 5 things when that person is dying. They have some tasks. And the reason that they have that tasks, I'm going to tell you, is that because they did not have death education. They did not care. They did not think first of cause and effect. They did not know anything, and that's going to catch up with them at that very moment. So that's the time that they're going to realize that they should have done all those things that we in Spiritism, we are here teaching, showing, and telling the necessity and the importance of changing to become better, to change our ways, to be charitable, to be loving, to be kind, to be compassionate. So if we mind the teachings and the learning in Spiritism of this, we are going to avoid this. And one of the reasons, and this is one of the most important point I think in this seminar, and is for people in my modest contribution for betterment, because this is a task. Teaching about death and dying is a task, kind of a mission that I have taken upon myself to try and spread the word of our immortality and what happens. And this is one of the most important, because the idea is for us not to waste any time in any of these 5 tasks, because we're going to be have done all that before. And that time that we are about to cross over, it is a time that we're going to spend in deep peace, because we have done the tasks beforehand. Now, what one feels at the time of death, this is also related to terminal, because there are different types of death, as we are going to see shortly. What one sees at the time of death. So there are visions that happen, that the dying people, they see. So we're going to talk about that. How the spirit leaves the body. So we have a structure that we in Spiritism will call perispirit. That is like, it is us as a spirit, or it's a non-physical body that we have, that we have it. Actually, we are it. And this spirit body is not only inside of the physical body, connecting all the molecules, atoms, and everything, but it's spread all around. When you see like people saying they see aura, they see this energy, because spirit is energy. So we are not inside the body. We have a beautiful thing in Spiritism that we read it in Spirit book, that us as a spirit, we are not enclosed or inside a cage, or inside the body as a bird in a cage. There's no boundary. We don't end at this part here, when this is the end of our physical body and this is the beginning of space. We're not enclosed. We are multidimensional. We are everywhere, because we are energy. And we are great. When you think of yourself like that, I'll tell you, that is something else. The feeling of this greatness that we are. We don't understand, obviously, yet, but we will one day. But that is reason enough to change the perspective that we have in life. Where do we go after death? We're going to talk about that. Is there an afterlife? So we're going to talk about, there's a lot of studies done about that. We're going to, there's reincarnation, there is deathbed visions that we're going to talk about, near-death experiences, all that. And in my own out-of-body experience is another one that is, to me, that's enough. And the 15, losing a loved one, grief and bereavement. This is the process that we go through emotionally after we lose a loved one. So we're going to talk about that too, and the third. So now, What time are we supposed to end? Finish? Where is it? What time? We finish? 8:30. Okay. So, thanatology. Thanatology is the study, the scientific study of death and the process of dying. And this is in Greek mythology, and this is one like a statue, a representation of Thanatos. And Thanatos in Greek is one because Greece has this big mythology for everything. So Thanatos is the Greek god of death. He is the son of Nyx, night. And his father was Erebus, darkness. And his brother is Hypnos, sleep. And hypnos comes from hypnosis. Now, hypnosis comes from hypnos. So we have in Greece, or in the Greek mythology, all of these gods for everything. So this one is the one that represents death. So thanatology is the study of Thanatos. Thanatos being death. Logi is study of Thanatos, this guy, Greek god of death. And it's the scientific study of death and the dying process. And this information is in a handbook of thanatology that is put out organized by ADEC, the Association of Death and Dying in Grief and things like that. So I have this book. I studied with them, and it's very, for if you're interested in learning about death and dying more, go deeper into death education. So this handbook of thanatology by ADEC is a great addition. Now, why is it important? The importance of death education. Why? Now, this poem is fascinating. And it was written by this French philosopher, Michel de Montaigne. He was born in 1533 and died in 1592. And he wrote, "Men, or humans, come, and they go, and they trot, and they dance. And never a word about death. All well and good. Yet when death does come to them, their wives, their children, their friends, catching them unawares and unprepared, then what storms of passion overwhelm them? What cries, what fury, what despair." Does that sound about right? That's how it is. And he was a person, a philosopher that he was interested in death education. Because first, it's a unescapable reality. Someone asked Woody Allen about what he thought about death, if he was afraid. And he said, "Well, I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to be there when it comes." So he is. But when we study from the perspective of being an immortal spirit, death will come. We are going to be there, and we will survive. We will regain our freedom. as a spirit. We're going to talk more about that. This is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a philosopher, American philosopher. And he wrote that knowledge is the antidote against fear. And that is true. The more you know about something, the less you fear that something that you don't know. Because we have this tendency of being superstitious. Like I was born on a farm in Brazil, and a lot of fruit trees that I would pick the fruit and eat from the trees. Marvelous time. I hear people saying about their traumas of childhood. My childhood was the best part of my life. It is alive in me now. I remember a certain part that I think I have memories when it was about 4 or 5, and then throughout, and that was on farm, breathing, beautiful. There's green, there's light, there's play, there's a lot of things. So no trauma at all. Perhaps there was trauma for me when I was going to eat a mango, because everybody on the farm, including my mom, would tell me, do not eat mango and drink milk because you will die. And everybody that I knew on the farm, they did not drink milk and eat mango, or the other way around, because they would die. But you don't die. You might get, upset stomach, or I don't know, but you won't die. So that is a type of knowledge that you have a fear that is unfounded because you don't know. So you heard people saying, then you buy it. Okay, oh, but you didn't, is it really true? Today, you just go online, you go on Google it. You don't even have to type, you just ask Google. Does mango and milk kill you? Or do? Huh? So, so we learn it's knowledge. It's knowledge that wipes away fear. So, for us, in our specific subject in this death education, knowing that we are immortal spirit will do away with the fear of death because we have knowledge. We're going to see that in near-death experience, one of the phenomena that we're going to speak about in the topic is their afterlife, how how this thing, what knowledge does to when you know it for certain, when you have that knowledge, what that knowledge does to a fear that you had just a few minutes before, how that changes. We're going to see that. Now, what is death? So, this is someone in the morgue with a label on a big toe. There's something written there, I think maybe handwritten, but this for sure is outdated because if I were to guess, I think today I haven't gone to a morgue and seen that, but probably they have a QR code there that you just take a picture and you're gonna find the whole history of that person, including social security number, what is the credit score, his credit score, his if he pays alimony or this, all of that. So you have everything. So it's being sophisticated now. Now, what is that physically? So the process that we're talking about, the process and the reality of immortality. So it's the process of total cessation of all activities of all organs that make up the physical body, which we, immortal spirits, use. We use this body, we use each atom, we use each cell, each molecule to make this body that we use so that we can connect with physical thing. So we use this to carry out another. because we are here on another evolutionary journey or stage on Earth, and this stage comes to an end. So we come here and we have a certain time that we're going to stay here, working, learning, being happy, being mad, being all of that, going through all of this revolution of everything, this storms, for all the challenges that we're here for, with one project, one prospect, which is to help us grow and develop. And then this journey comes to an end, regardless of how old that body was. Because when someone asks you, how old are you? You cannot say. You don't know. We don't know how old we are. We have no idea how old we are. We know how long we've been on this earth based on when that body was born up to the moment that we're now. We only know the age of this body. We don't know how old we are. But we are very, in time, very, millions, billions of years even. So there's these two stages when we're talking about dying physically. That's it. The body that we have is going to stop functioning for one of the 20 reasons that we're going to see shortly. And at the same time as the body is dying, is ending its work here on earth, we, the tenant, we who were living, so to speak, inside of that body, we are evicted. We're cast out of the body. Get out. You didn't pay your rent, so go. Spill. Right? Get out. Bounce. Adios. It's adios. So spiritually is the process of total liberation of the spirit or soul that animates the physical body, which is us, allowing it to return to its natural, non-physical state, our reality. Now, here, for us to have an idea. So, this person here, who, or this entity here, talking to you, is not the body. What is talking to you is me as a spirit. And you sitting there listening to me is not the body, are not the body that is listening. You are the spirit inside that body. What we're doing is we are using the physical body, me here, to talk. I'm using my throat, my tongue, my vocal cords of the body. So the body is an instrument that I, as a spirit, am using to give this message to you. And your body sitting there is the instrument that you, as a spirit, are using to decode the sound of my voice and the words that I'm talking. So we are that spirit, not the body. This is very important to know when you make that. So death is the rebirth of the spirit. Now, we're talking here about death education. Now, imagine death is the rebirth of the spirit. See the difference. And say, death is the destruction of the physical body. It is not. See it, understand it in a different way. Death is the rebirth of the spirit. Actually, this rebirth is just a figure of speech, because we are, as a spirit, we are here, we are alive. We're not rebirthing, but in this process, we could associate it. The body dies, us as a spirit are reborn. We gain our freedom. Normally, we gain our freedom as a spirit. We learn that in the Spiritism, It is in the Spirit's book. And I have learned that consciously through my experiences, that we also live spiritually every night when we go to sleep. The body's there sleeping, knocked out cold, and we as a spirit, we're out. And we're out and about. Sometimes we have those beautiful real dreams that we say that it was too real to be a dream. And that was not. Because it was us as spirit being there. We had a little bit more freedom, more consciousness, more lucidity, and we remember that. And that happens to us every night, but not all of us remember it. So we already taking those strolls, going out on the other side frequently at night. So we're going to talk about that later. We already know the whole process. We already know even where we might be going. So life does not end with the death of the body. It only changes. There is only a change. And Emmanuel says that death merely means a new mode of existence, which continues without miracles or hurdles. Now, it's the new mode. So we already live two modes of living. Now we are living the physical life, interacting with physical things. So we are focused on the physicality of the physical body and all the material physical environment that we are surrounded with and that we navigate through. So this is what we're doing now, this mode of living. Now, the other mode, when we leave, then this mode of living with the death of the physical body will continue. And what he says here, without miracles or hurdles, is there's no miracle and there's no you out there. And we're going to talk about that how it can be a very smooth process and adventure later. There's a saying also, I like this very much, that Andre Luis writes through Chico Xavier. Beyond the grave, what is most surprising to us is finding ourselves still alive. And we're gonna see I have an experience that I'll share with you the next week for the second part. So we now have 5 minutes, and in this 5 minutes, I'm going to show something very interesting. The 20 modes or 20 forms of dying and what's happening in the world at this very minute. Walter? Oh, no, it's here. Okay. The site is death meters. And you can identify by this thing here. Now, this is the number of people who died today, who are dying. Every flip, every number is one person dying at this moment. By the end of the 24 hours that the meter is counting, there will be about 166,552 people leaving the physical life. This 141, 88, 77, 172, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77 have already gone in the world. Now, one day, this little jumping number here will be, guess who? Us. It's So one day it's going to be us here. So the better we're prepared, the more prepared, the better. Now, this is how many people have died in a year today, because we're about 6 months into the 2025. This is how many people have died, and this how many people are expected to die in the world. So you see that there's a big recycling here. A lot of people live in this world, and we don't even care about it. Walter? Okay. So I think, and here we have some modes of living. There's 20. See, 20 top 20. There are other causes, but top 20 cause of death in the world in 2025. Okay, so most number one is coronary artery disease, heart problem, as it was expected. Number one. Number two, stroke. Number three, pulmonary disease, breathing disease. Number four, also related to breathing, to the lungs. Then we have a fifth, Alzheimer. Six, trachea, bronchus, lung cancers, things of the lung. Um, Diabetes, road injury, accidents, and then diarrheal diseases. This is mostly in children and mostly in poor countries. And then we have the 10, if we could have the 10 update. Yeah, the 10. The 10th is tuberculosis, uh, cirrhosis of the liver, kidney diseases, um, preterm birth complications, the yeah, like HIV, AIDS. This is mostly in Africa. Has a lot of these. Then we have hypertensive heart disease, also, and liver cancer. What is this? Colorado cancer, suicide, stomach cancer, and birth as birth as yeah, and birth trauma. Yeah. So this is related to babies. So these these are like the 20 the 20 causes of death. And but I have to. Can we have a next? You can go back. Okay. Now we're gonna end with this graph here. Okay, death by age. So this is going to be our last slide. Anybody here worked in accounting or the inventory system? There's in accounting, there's this inventory thing that has it's like this. Um, First in, first out, and there's the acronym FIFO. First in, first out. When you buy something, um, if you're a company, like let's say that you sell chicken, packaged chicken, so you're gonna slaughter your chicken today. You're gonna pack it, and you're going to put a date that you packed it, and you're going to put an expiration date, right? Then you're gonna put in your store and sell it. So that's the first chicken bag or pack, whatever, that you're gonna sell in your store. And then tomorrow you're gonna also slaughter your chicken, pack them, put their slaughter date, um, expiration date, and put in your store. And you do that every day. So the one that you want to sell is the one that came here first. So first in, first out. Understand? Now, in this death and dying business, it's something like that too. First in, first out. And you can see in this part here, see, look at the side. There are 4 portions, or there's 5 actually. Well, pequenininho. But the large portion is the portion that came in first. And it's us. We are in the blue. We are just in the gate. We're just about to cross over. We are in this part. Yeah, here. It's 70 plus years. So if there is anybody here besides me that's 70 plus, I'm here in the blue. I am here in the blue because I came in first. So I leave first. Then but this part here, this is older. Here there's people with 80, 90, 100 years old, which is a small portion. So 50 million. So 50 million of us in this age group are going to cross over to the other side. We're here blue. Then 30 million people are 50, 50%. It's a lighter blue. So you are a little further from heaven. Here you're close. then then you have the purple. Oh, purple. Purple is 15 to 49. So the purple 20 million a year. It's still a bunch. Yeah, not bad. Then we have the little one here. The little one is 5 to 14 years old. And then under 5. Then under 5. 10 million. Under 5 is still a big portion, but it is decreasing. And most of this under 5 who die are kids, children in poor countries like Africa, India, and countries that there are still diseases. And Africa probably is the largest with that death of children under 5 years old. But now with the health system improving and vaccination and other things and a little bit less ignorance in the world, that number is decreasing and should decrease. So this is a picture of people dying at this moment or this year, basically like in an average, in that average. So that's why it is important for us to educate about that because we're going to be there one day. So that's good. All right. So the next Thursday, we're going to start with this topic. Should a terminal patient know that he is terminal? And this is going to be very important a topic for this project that we're having here, that education, because it is possible, if we haven't done so, it is possible that in our family we're going to have a family member in that situation, and we could be of help because it is important and necessary. So that's it for our first part. There's the next one. It's gonna get more exciting, believe it or not. And then